Lucher Balanger, born on the 5th of November 1950, was raised in the small town of Mechanic Falls in Andros, Cogan County, Maine, near the end of high school. He and his family relocated to Washington in Knox County after graduating from MEAC Valley High School in 1970. He married his childhood sweetheart Linda in 1971 and worked as a heavy equipment mechanic at Bridge Construction. By the autumn of 1975, the couple were the parents of 3 young daughters. It was between 8:45 and 900 a.m. on the 25th of November 1975, in the final days of hunting season, when 25-year-old Lucher, known as Lud or Ludi to loved ones, came to a halt on Route 105 in Washington, Maine, in the company of his brother John and wife Linda. The trio had been hunting birds and rabbits early that morning. However, they had decided to return to the car S-Wharf, as the weather had worsened. Snow fell from the sky above them, with temperatures having plummeted in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. Huddled in the car, approximately half a mile from his home, near the Somerville and Lincoln County lines. Lucher was wearing a red and black checked jacket, navy blue trousers of the Dickies brand, a blaze orange hat, and green rubber hunting boots. He told his wife and brother that he wished to go hunting again and picked up his 3030 rifle. Subsequently checking, he had all he needed to go on a solo deer hunting trip in the alpine wilderness nearby, which was blanketed in snow. As he departed from the vehicle, Lucher bid both Linda and John farewell, promising his wife that he would reunite with her at noon in order to drive her to Hu Chinese restaurant, where she worked as a waitress on Western Avenue in the town of Augusta. Linda last saw her husband wandering in a nearby field as he headed out on his hunting trip. This would be the last sighting of Lucher Balanger alive. Midday arrived, and Lucher failed to appear for the arranged lift to Augusta, leaving Linda anxious and concerned about her husband, according to Linda on a 2019 episode of the Locating the Lost podcast. She stated that the Bander family began searching for him, scouring the fields and surrounding area where he had been dropped off. They found tracks. However, Lucher was nowhere to be found. An unsettling and eerie silence lingering in the air. Game wardens were alerted and joined the family in their search, with the Maine State Police later converging on the area to help find Lucher. Linda described him as a devoted husband and father, an enthusiastic outdoorsman, and a kind individual, and strongly believed he did not disappear of his own accord. In the immediate aftermath of her husband's disappearance, Linda suffered from severe panic and was hospitalized that night. According to the Charlie Project, the couple's marriage and home life was good. Therefore, it seemed unlikely that he had disappeared of his own volition. After a thorough search, a game warden discovered evidence suggesting that Lucher had successfully shot a deer, dragged it across Career Lot Road, and was offered a ride by persons unknown in a passing vehicle. It was theorized by police that he may have been involved in some sort of altercation with a person in the vehicle. It was reported in December of that year that foul play was thought to have been involved in Lucher's disappearance. Over the years, new details emerged about the case, including information regarding the 2 individuals who might have been involved in Lucher's disappearance. Authorities have identified 2 suspects in his vanishing. During the initial search for Lucher, police discovered a receipt near the area with deer drag marks. Authorities later informed the family that they had tracked down the owner of the receipt, which was dated November 28, 1975, and was for repair works on a green 1965 Buck Special 4.0 sedan, which belonged to Danny Collins, Jr. of Portland. A second suspect, who was from Camden, died in an explosion at his home. Less than a year after Lucher went missing, while Danny Collins Jr., according to reports, remains in Maine, the Pier informed the police at the time that they were hunting in the same area of Washington that day, but claimed they did not see anyone dragging a deer along the road. In 1977, Danny Collins Jr. allegedly confessed the murder to a friend, Charles Christensen, Jr., stating that he and the other suspect, both under the influence of drugs, picked up Lucher and shot him in the back seat of the car after having an argument over the deer. Collins' friend reported this conversation to the police shortly after Lucher disappearance authorities examined the car, noting that its interior had been washed and the rear seat was missing. They also found a single deer hair stuck to the hood ornament. In 1985, 10 years after Lucher vanishing, detectives started re-interviewing individuals and executed another search warrant on the same 1965 Buick Special. It is unclear where the car was at the time, and by police waited an additional 10 years to search it again. During the search, police seized the 2 rear door panels, door and window handles, and the speaker cover from the rear seat. However, testing at the Maine State Police Crime Lab in Augusta found no traces of blood. Ultimately, investigators acknowledge there is a theory and some corroborating statements, but there is not enough evidence to press charges against anyone. In June of 2001, 26 years after the 25-year-old disappearance, a judge in New County officially declared Lucher Balanger as deceased due to, quote, the due diligence search of family, the Maine Warden Service, and the Maine State Police over a period of 26 years. The declaration had been requested by Linda, who at the time was wishing to remarry. Linda, now known as Linda Perkins, stated in a 2020 interview that she and her family continue to receive information about Lucher disappearance from various individuals. A family-managed Facebook page, Justice for Lucher Balanger, which was set up by his daughter Angel, who was 23 months old when her father vanished, has garnered interest and initiated discussions about the case, although the disappearance is talked about less frequently than in previous years. Linda noted that it remains a topic of conversation in Washington and Knox counties. Linda has organized several private searches, stating that she utilized, quote, cadaver dogs, trackers, and professional experts to find the body of her first husband. She and her children have also had to contend with misleading rumors about the location of his remains. In the 1980s, for example, one of her children even considered leaving school after hearing awful rumors and being taunted by fellow students. Linda is an active member of the Maine Cold Case Alliance, and she advocated for the establishment of the Unsolved Homicide Unit, a specialized team within the Maine State Police dedicated to investigating so-called cold cases. Linda firmly believes that individuals with knowledge about Lucher disappearance have remained silent. The family has been cautioned against asking too many questions, but Linda remains determined to find answers. State police report that investigative efforts on the case have persisted over the years. A new 4-person cold case unit was announced in 2020 with the focus exclusively on unsolved homicides. Lieutenant Jeffrey Love of Belgrade, an experienced homicide detective, was appointed to lead the team of detectives in the Major Crimes Unit in Augusta, which handles homicides and suspicious deaths, as well as the new Unsolved Homicide Unit. There is a headstone dedicated to Lucher Balanger in Sand Hill Cemetery in Somerville, according to an article dated in November 2015. And the Charlie Project, all 8 of Lucher's siblings are still alive. Lucher's mother passed away almost 3 decades after her son disappeared, and his father Raymond, known as Frenchie, passed away. in August of 2011, both never knowing what happened to their beloved son. Linda Perkins, who had Lair parents in attendance at her second wedding, recalled of Lucher, quote, "He was kind, he loved to hunt, and then fish. He loved Maine. Luch was a great father. He was a great husband. He was just a good guy. She still lives in the home." Lucher had built himself on land owned by his father, and despite the property having suffered damage from a fire, Linda managed to repair the home to its former glory. Linda further stated, quote, "I think if they had the technology they have today, there would have been somebody arrested. They didn't have a blood type for Lucher. With DNA technology, more could have been done," she concluded. Quote, "I remember all the good times. I remember all about Louis. The bad times are sad, but they re-part of my past. I still would like some closure, but it has been 40 years.